Welcome to Positive Waves. My name's Matthew Collinson,
I'm Joseph Somma.
and today we are going to talk about how happiness comes from inside. Now, before that, I have a special sponsor today in Wedding Cake Cannabis. It is wonderful and beautiful. It is a hybrid and it feels great.
Cake is a tasty one. That's one I grab every time I see it.
Yeah, we had a bulk deal here in Oregon. It was like $50 for an ounce. I was like, cool, I'll take it.
That's freaking
Swipe. So back to happiness. Do you believe that happiness comes from your inside or from the outside?
Well, I've lived both sides. I've sought it from outside sources, through people, through foods, through addictions, and ultimately I learned that the only true place it comes from is within. But it takes a few steps to get there. It takes a few realizations. If you're looking for it, you'll find it. If not, then you'll keep doing what you do, I guess. But yeah, finding happiness within is way better than finding it from your outside sources.
Yeah, I love what you just said there because it totally reminds me of the quote. I think it was Henry Ford, but I'm not positive about what you focus on is exactly what you will see. If you are expecting that you aren't going to succeed, you're right. If you're expecting you are going to succeed, you're right. It just depends on how you take that and what you do with that kind of thing. And I think it's a powerful tool in our arsenal because we can shift our language to help kind of start that process of getting there, I feel.
That's where mine really started to shift. So I know I've said to you a few times, I may have said it once or twice here on Positive Waves, but the book The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, first rule, be impeccable with your word. And to do so is literally stop that negative talk, because that is what's drawing all of these horrible things to you. If you want to have a happier life, a happier surrounding, you have to speak it into existence. You can't say, my life sucks and expect great things to happen. You got to wake up every day like I do and say it's another day in paradise, even if it's not. Tell yourself it, and it will shift. We all have those roller coasters in life where we got our ups, we got our downs. It doesn't matter where you're at on that roller coaster. If you view your life as another day in paradise or whatever you would wish to create, you're going to create it. It'll come.
Yeah, that reminds me of how we just got to the energetic low according to like the moon cycles and that kind of thing, which means we're supposed to be going inside of us, right? We're supposed to be going that into that internal being and really kind of letting it be, whatever that means. Now, that if you get real quiet in silence, and that's a really hard piece for people, is they can't stand being in the silence. The funny part is all the music is built out of that silence. All of our life, all experiences are built out of that silence. And I think that to really grasp this idea of happiness, this idea of creating the outcome that you want in life as opposed to reacting to everything in life, requires us to get still, requires us to get quiet. That's why I'm such a big fan of like Eckhart Tolle and his like The Power of Now and that kind of thing, because it just is like so intense when you do that. It shifts your entire dynamic because you're just being. And when you're just being, there's not the past holding you down, blocking you. There's not the future that's waiting for you. There's just here and now. And the here and now is the only time that we can take immediate actions on. Now, do you have a planned set of actions to take to get to that happiness, get to that ideal vision.
And yeah, creating that plan is beneficial. I know in my process, I I didn't have positive thoughts. It was not something that was there. I had to search. I had to really dig, and it got to the point where it didn't matter how minuscule that positivity was that I could find. I grabbed it and held on to it. And from there, I built up. I took those steps little by little, and as I told my story before, like there was one day I was just out for a walk and I stopped and I'm like, the fuck's wrong with me? I'm smiling. What am I smiling for? And I literally like questioned, why am I smiling? What in my outside world is making me fucking smile? And it dawned on me, I'm smiling just to smile. And I was like, is this happiness? Have I found it? Like I got all excited. And so it was one of those moments where I wished at that time in my life I was journaling, because I would have wrote down some amazing freaking story, because it was a beautiful moment in my life. It was one of those moments where I knew I had finally shifted. It wasn't a thought. It wasn't, well, I might. No, it was, I fucking shifted. Holy shit. And it really helped with that inner happiness when you realize there's nothing on the outside making me happy. I'm not on a controlled substance. I'm not on a medication. I'm not fulfilling some type of, desire. I'm just happy to be happy. And it's a great feeling when you do get there.
Yeah, I think it's so beautiful. It's hard to explain when if you haven't felt that way before too, because all humans go through their own perfect experience. I'm a life coach, so I feel like every human's journey is a perfect experience for them, for each of us. We each are on that journey. What we're experiencing, each of our experiences for is for our own being and our own kind of inner essence. Um, I call it like a soul type thing or energy. Some people call it other things. So, what do you think of tapping into that to find the happiness or find your inner being or happy being? Because I think we all go through different variations, whether it's
Yeah.
happy, anger.
Yeah. I mean, and again, in my personal experience, I had to get rid of the hate for myself first. I had to truly find that love for myself and start finding the things that I enjoyed doing and finding those passions that made me want to get up and get out of bed every day, that made my life worth living. So I guess that's really more of what I tapped into, was finding that love for myself. Because when you have that unconditional love for yourself, you don't need anything else. You can walk through a living nightmare, and as long as you got that love for yourself, you're living that another day in paradise.
Yeah. I'm thinking about how because I'm a dreamer, I think about how our imagination can really get us into the mode. So first you have to get into an image of what you want
Right.
to create a happiness scenario. What would make you happy? Now, can you answer that, fast, or is it going to take you some time? What would make me happy? A smile for my wife, taking her out to a dinner, stuff like that makes me happy. Going out to my garden and playing with my plants makes me happy. You know, Sitting outside staring at the sky, I could be happy all day long just doing that because I just love to be in that inner space, in that inner being. But it took me time to love that space. For the longest time, I was angry, mad, sad,
Mhm.
on all the negative signs.
Right. Right. And for me, like you, it took you a minute to figure it out and to get into that place. There was a point in my life where I couldn't tell you what happiness is or what a happy, situation was. I had come from quite a bit of misery, abuse, hate, anger, like you said, all those low lying vibrations. And I'm so glad I'm not there now. But when you're in that we'll use the term dark, when you're in that dark space and just filled with so much rage, how do you find that happiness? How do you even know what it is? And for me, it was more like I started people watching and started wondering, well, what are they feeling? They got that smile thingy on their face. I wonder what they're going. And you don't really know if they actually are happy. They might just wear a smile well. But I, from personal experience, really stumbled with trying to figure out what it was to be happy at one point in life. And again, I wish I would have journaled back in the day and got some good notes down, but it happens. Yeah, I don't.
I'm sure that, like, I know I wish I would have been doing that, but I don't think I would have been as mad or sad or other things if I
Right,
had been.
right. It's the duality of the situation.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's. I really can't recall what triggered or what situation occurred for me to discover what that happiness was. I know I realized I was happy on that walk, but how did I know I was happy? Like, how did I perceive happiness when I was in my darker days to even know that was something that I wanted to work towards?
I don't know that it was I don't know that it was an awareness thing. I think we were unconsciously incompetent. We didn't know about it.
That's possible too, yeah.
Like it once you've learned about it, why would you go back? I mean, seriously. Like, this is so much fun growing in like these dream directions, whatever those are for people. And it's insane to me to limit that. You know where it started for me? I think it was being thankful for those bad situations. I think that's where my one of my first steps was, okay, I'm thankful that I went through this. I'm thankful I went through this crappy ass thing. And what am I thankful for about that? And
Right.
then I had to go into it, but that took journaling and going into that, shadow side, which makes sense because that's what we have to do first.
Mm.
I think it's a good first step. Find the gratitude within the situation. Sorry, scratch my head. So now I got a big old red thing
No,
on me.
that is true. Yeah, the gratitude, just being thankful. I mean, you may not want to say it or you may not understand it, but even just putting those words into play. And another one of those four agreements was, always do your best. And to do your best is to literally evaluate yourself. Did I do my best today? Well, if your best is you got up and made your bed and that's all you did that day, and that's your best, well, that's your best. If you woke up and you didn't go for your run that day, you're still having your best day. It's accepting yourself for where you're at in that moment. You can only do so much. You're human. You're capable of doing many great things, but not all at once. So slow down step by step and allow yourself to be your best.
Okay. So I'm going to bring this deeper. It's what are you thankful for one of your darkest situations in life? How did it help you?
Like focus on just one real quick.
Yeah, just find one.
um, for the one that's in my mind, I would have to say it's one that's still a struggle to this day, but I'm still learning lessons to this day. I'm still finding things to forgive or to be grateful for, just to send that love to that situation. I want to say it was probably not only finding myself, but knowing that there was a better love than that out there. Like what I was going through, what I was dealing with was not, well, not good for anyone to go through, but it was not the love that I could receive or something like that. struggling how to say it, obviously, but really it got me to see that I was just done with relationships. I did not want another relationship. And even though I tried 2 or 3 times before the partner I'm with now, which I even told her no, she'll tell you that story another day. But I knew it wasn't right. I just knew deep down inside that this was not any way to live, and I was done. I was not going to deal with this crap no more, even if I had to be alone. And it was in that process that I started finding that love for myself and started growing into the knowing of, if I can love myself this well, then I don't need that outside source to make me feel loved. And I mean, it was a big shift at the time. It was part of my growth of where I really dove deep down the rabbit hole into my healing journey. And it's one of the most horrible yet grateful situations in my life, because if I didn't go through that literally living hell that, like I said, still haunts me to this day, situations still come up, the person's still part of my life and all of that. But if I didn't go through all of that, I wouldn't have known how to love myself so others could see how I expected that love to be brought to me.
Oh, that's such an important piece, that learning to how to treat yourself in order to help others learn how to treat you. I think that's a big piece, putting that on there. Like that's major right there when you do that, because it helps you to be able to do that with everything, including happiness, for instance, which is what the topic is. So love and happiness generally coincide. Like I love the smell of a good flower, and that is happiness to me. Like it's very simple. I keep it simple on purpose because I want every day to be a dream. I want to be astonished every day.
In all honesty, life is simple. We make it difficult by our thoughts, by our actions, by our ego, by our emotions. We all just calm down, set the emotion aside, realize, hey, we're being triggered. Let's calm ourselves real quick and then, revisit the situation. There'd be a whole hell of a lot less, hateful energies out in the world.
Yeah. I agree. I think we are way too harsh on ourselves, and I think we're way too harsh on others. I mean, I say it over and over again, but I'll say it again. I mean, we're traveling on a rock through space, guys. Like, really, how much more stuff do you need to worry about? Meteors coming at us, things exploding in random places in space. Like, come on, man. I mean, who the heck knows what else is out there? But what we do know is that we are all beings. We all can create things. We all have that infinite potential within us. Like, I don't understand why we have to fight about the small things. And that's where I don't like competition and things like sports. Like, I'm really not a sports fan, like at all. I played some sports when I was a kid. I tried a couple. I'd stuck with martial arts, but I did baseball and soccer and stuff like that. I couldn't play football because of my heart surgery. Um, but it was definitely an experience to realize after I became an adult and after I got out of all the negative cycles and started doing all the self-development was, I believe that all competition does is create conflict.
Right.
And every time we create conflict, whether it's in our voice, in our heart, in our soul, anywhere it is, anywhere that conflict begins, it sends out a ripple. And that ripple goes over and over, and like the butterfly effect.
Right.
So if that's the case, I know we want to have fun. So there's the fun side of things and playing and enjoying that. But then there's the other side of the coin, as always, where it becomes real dark.
Right. Well, if you're playing it for fun, then it's not a competition. You're just staying active, staying fit, and enjoying time with friends and all of that. But if you're playing for that competition, for that award, for that financial profit, then tension's going to run, stress is going to run. You're going to start getting that extra adrenaline because you want it. You have to win it. You need that, for whatever gratification. And it's not always the greatest, but it's kind of healthy as well to learn both ends of that stick, basically,
That's
to have
true.
the competition, to learn the sport, but to also realize that it's more fun just to play it for fun, to enjoy time with your people. I'm not one to sit down and watch sports.
Mhm.
I still, I like to play disc golf. I'll still, bike ride into things that I can physically do. But as for, sitting down and watching the NFL, I can't. Baseball, I can sit in the stadium and watch it in person, but I've got so many other things to do in this world that those few hours of my life, I'd rather dedicate it to things that are gonna benefit the world.
Mhm. Yeah, I want to get better about that myself. I know I do because my one of my things is video games. Like I definitely get sucked into those for hours upon hours. It's not hard for me. But
Yep.
I grew up like I've definitely weaned myself way, 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 way back over time. Sometimes I want to jump back into it, especially on these low energy times. But sometimes it's better to go into like meditations and do things like that.
Right.
And it just I think going inside, I still say the answer is going inside though, and finding that happiness.
Mhm.
Like between everything we've talked about, no matter what's going on around us, if we can find that spark, that piece of us that just is happy to be alive, essentially, that's where it becomes or I guess that's where it becomes. How do I want to say that?
Well, Paramount sounded great to me. I mean,
Paramount.
it's something that our youth could truly benefit from, with just the understanding of, hey, you're young, you're learning yourself, you're figuring it out. Don't take these things so damn hard. You know, see the lesson, move forward. Don't carry it with you. You're allowed to make mistakes. Well, actually, seeing things going on in the world, some of these kids aren't even allowed to make mistakes. They're like expected to be perfect right away. And we're even seeing that with the youth sports. Like, there was this big deal in our local football, at the local high school, where mothers got on, or a mother got on the Facebook page and started ranting and raving about how horrible it was for all of these kids that are being scouted for college football and things like that. And it's like, there's more to life than just sports. Obviously, if your kid is a good player, when he goes to college, he will still be scouted for college. I don't know, maybe things are ran totally different now in the system, where you got to be scouted in, high school to even be eligible for college. I don't know, but
It's
it
kind of
just
how it
seemed,
is. Yeah.
yeah, it just seemed pretty aggressive and pretty harsh for the football. I mean, I think they said something like they can't play football this year because there was only 4 students on the
Mm.
team, and you obviously need more than 4 kids to play football. I'm used to seeing like 26 kids on the teams, so obviously that's a problem. But yeah, the way it was presented was like, wow, that it came off as it was their whole world. It was everything they were counting on.
That's it, though. That's exactly what it is.
And it's like, give your child a book, allow him to expand his knowledge. You won't have to bet everything on one little thing. It doesn't take much to buy a book. Those cleats cost 100 and some odd dollars. How many books could you have bought for $100? Like, there's more ways for people to get out there and do things. And if sports is that kid's passion, then okay, let
Right.
let that be. But how many people actually make it into the NFL or into professional sports? Not many.
Well, it's like every profession. It's always the top 1 or 2% that do
Mhm.
most of the revenue kind of thing. And
Yep.
that's just the truth of the world, as it were. It doesn't mean, yeah. And I think it's interesting that they like sports people are paid so much. And it's not that they don't put in work, they put in a lot of work, and it
Oh
is a
yeah.
full-time job for sure, and all
Yep.
that kind of stuff. But I think it's become very excessive. And I think that that's kind of hurt the sport more than helped the sport.
Well, yeah, it's turned away so many viewers that can't afford. Like I would love to take my son to a baseball game, and I was doing it when the tickets were like 20 some dollars a piece because your ticket may be 20, then you got your taxes, your fees, and all that other stuff, and then you got to buy food in the park, and then you got to drive to the park, and then you got to pay to park near the park to walk to the park or take a cab. And by the time you're done with the day, those $40 you spent in tickets ends up being like a $250 day between going there, buying foods, buying a jersey or whatever, supporting the team and all that. And it's gotten ridiculously expensive lately. And I don't know if it's just because of what they're being paid or if it's because the people that own the stadiums want more money for the tickets as well.
Well, it's that and inflation and distribution. And I know there's been distribution problems since 2020 kind of thing. Like that's definitely hiked prices, but that's all basic inflation as well. We go through periods of time where it goes up, and that's just how it is. Most jobs don't keep up with inflation, which is where it's important to get the M1, M2, and M3s down for people out there that don't have those. It's a wise move because it can help you grow into the person you want to be. And then you're not so worried about this is my job. So if I don't do this, then what else can I do?
Right. It's funny. We're talking about money. I ended up pulling a money card for us today from the Money and the Law of Attraction cards from Esther and Jerry Hicks. And this card says on the face, I can't tell stories of shortage and experience abundance. Okay, let me read that again. I can't tell stories of shortage and experience abundance. On the other side, it tells us, continuing to tell stories of shortage only continues to contradict your desires for abundance, and you cannot have it both ways. You cannot focus upon unwanted and receive wanted. You cannot focus upon stories about money that make you feel uncomfortable and allow into your experience what makes you feel comfortable. A different story will bring different results. My thoughts are the basis for the attraction of all things that I consider to be good, which includes enough money and health for my comfort and joy. So, I mean, that's going right back to the 4 agreements to be impeccable with your word. You can't expect good things into your life if you're talking negative things. You can't expect money to come into your life if you're, complaining about it not coming into your life.
Happiness.
Exactly.
Back to the core subject. That directly is what we're talking about, though. It's putting the energy into what you want. And if you're putting energy into what you want in a good way, then that's what you're going to get. If you're putting energy in what you don't want, then you're going to continue getting that energy.
Yep, you speak it into existence. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. What you think and what you speak is what you will create.
And with that, this was Positive Waves. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Please subscribe and share this with anyone you think would find value in it.
Thank you.